In this episode, Putin tells Poland, "Come at me, bro." Federal government demands Texas open its borders to illegal immigrants. Russia says all your grain belongs to us. The 2024 election polls are out, and they say Biden and Trump wins. Hey guys, welcome to the first ever episode of John and Jane Prepper. I'm John Doe.
I'm Jane Doe.
And we're so excited to actually kick this thing off. We have been watching a ton of prepper stuff on YouTube, and we felt like, hey, there's an opportunity for one more set of voices to really parse through all the news and put out things that are important to preppers, that are the early warning signs of things that we should prep for, stock up on. But to be honest, Jane and I both really love gloom and doom news, is what we call it.
Gloom and doom.
So what better way to increase the amount of gloom and doom news than to create a channel to crank it out? Now, I'm just kidding. Really, the focus of this is to embrace the prepper community. Like I said, dig through those headlines and look for things that, hey, we need to prepare for. Not necessarily end of the world stuff.
But there is writing on the wall right now, and what better way for us to have a platform to be able to talk to each other. So that's one of the huge reasons we wanted to come on here and meet all y'all. So thank you for coming to our channel. It's a brand new channel, so if you like us so far, you can give us a thumbs up.
Be sure to subscribe, because we probably have 0 subscribers when this thing is coming out. All right, so Jane, what do you think? Let's kick this off.
Let's go.
All right, so we're not very good at this yet, so we're gonna stay on our laptops. But it's key to driving the points home and not deviate off course. So recently in the news, I've been hearing a bunch of stuff about the Wagner group, like Prigozhin, the guy who tried to have a coup against Russia. He was that contract military force that Putin was using to fight in Ukraine. Then he made a run on Moscow, and then they relocated him and a bunch of his soldiers into Belarus. Belarus sits next to Poland. Poland kind of freaked out, and NATO did too. They started stacking up some troops on their eastern border, which is Belarus's western border. And so basically Putin came out and he said, hey, apparently Ukrainian fodder is no longer enough for the West. They're thinking about Lithuanians and the Poland. Basically saying, hey, if you guys have any aggression against Belarus is a de facto Russian state, and we will retaliate with any means necessary. So that's pretty crazy.
That's kind of nuts.
Belarus, as you know, Putin has been putting tactical nukes over in Belarus, so not sure if that's to deter NATO or to prepare them for use in Ukraine. I don't think it'll go nuclear. What do you think?
But I think it comes down to like who's provoking who. At this point, you'll hear something from one media and something from the other, and I want to know like who's poking who's the bear here, and who has the stick, and is it both? What do you guys think? Put it in the comments. Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, please use the comments, because we want to interact with you guys. We will absolutely read the comments and interact. And remember, if you're an a-hole, we're definitely gonna block you from the channel. This is a space for us to like really embrace the prepper community. It's not Twitter, right? If you want to get into an argument and belittle people, do that on Twitter. This is not Twitter. All right, so
But we love Twitter.
Oh, we absolutely love Twitter. We'll put our link to our show channel on Twitter below. We'll also put some of our favorite prep items of this month. Links, Amazon links to those in the comments as well. We've been doing a lot of Mylar bagging here recently. Yeah, so Mylar with oxygen absorbers, buying a ton of rice.
Yeah, and by Mylar bagging a lot of things, he means that we've been putting a lot of split peas on our floor.
Yeah, they fall everywhere.
And flour.
Yeah, and the dog eats them, and then, yeah. Anyway, yeah, check out the description of this video, and we'll have some links down there. All right, so let's get to the next one. This next one's really crazy because this impacts all of us directly here in America, as opposed to all that stuff going on in Europe, which in a roundabout way does impact us tax dollars and ultimately World War III if it gets crazy. So recently, the governor of Texas put a floating string of buoys out in the middle of the Rio Grande to deter like the onslaught of illegal immigrants, right? And this is not about like one nationality, not even just talking about Mexicans, because we all know that a large percentage of the people coming across aren't people who are oppressed or in war-torn regions, or even from Central or South America. Tons are coming from, I think I saw on this other channel about the Russians, how many was that, like?
30,000 documented Russians, 10,000 documented Chinese people. And this isn't like families coming over. It's men in the early 20s that, like you see that happen in France recently. It might not be a good formula for us. And it's very, very concerning. So
that definitely is a concern in military-age males. And these are the encounters, 33,000 encounters with Russian immigrants, 10,000 encounters with Chinese immigrants. And they say the ratio of encounters to gotaways could be up to 10x. So does that mean there's like 330,000 Russians that haven't been encountered? I don't want to like make that bold of a claim, but you get where we're going. It's exponentially more than the encounters and gotaways. So big flashing red light there. But back to this. So the Department of Justice is about to sue Texas for that floating buoy. And they said that it violates the River Harbors Act. Listen to the hypocrisy here. So they are about to sue Texas because an action they are undertaking violates law, while simultaneously illegal immigration violates every single law that our country has. So they're like, hey, Texas, you're violating this very obscure Harbors Act law. Please remove that buoy and allow unfettered immigration into our country. And this is specifically around Eagle Pass, which is one of the most heavily infiltrated areas along the Rio Grande. So Texas had to do something in the absence of federal intervention. Now, of course, it is dangerous. These floating buoys, they rotate, so you can't grab onto it. You grab onto it and you roll under. And people could be harmed by that, which is absolutely terrible. All human life is precious life. God created us all in his own image, and we should not wish harm on anybody, no matter how you feel about them. Every life is precious. But the people coming across the border are creating an unnecessary, undue strain on the American people, on tax dollars, and a small percent of that is a criminal element. And as we know, the number one killer of kids is what? One of the largest is fentanyl overdoses. And where's that coming across? The border, right? So we should secure our border while being as humane as possible. We don't want these people to be injured, but Texas is pretty much, they got no option. What do they do?
I don't know what they do. But I mean, in a sense, crossing the border has some amount of danger to it anyway. You're not going to think in your head, oh, this is going to be a totally safe passage. So I personally don't think it's that big of a deal putting buoys up. It's like you see a buoy and you can't swim, probably don't try that, you know? So in my head, it's like, where's the responsibility on that citizen's part? And the DOJ, what a terrible excuse for being like, oh, we want people to come across the border as much as possible. In fact, doesn't even matter. We don't need to vet you. It's just, I could go on. I'm really upset about this.
Right. And remember we saw that one newscast where Arizona is starting to see increases in their illegal immigration because when you plug one hole, these immigrants are still persistent, and the mules that are smuggling these people across, right? They're gonna, water will find a way, and these illegal smugglers, just like water, will find a way. They're going around. In Arizona, they said, well, we don't have an administration that is really concerned about the border, so they're seeing a huge influx. And even crazier, remember what they said about New Mexico? They had the Texas governor said that not only are they having to secure the border to Mexico, they're putting a 10 to 12 mile razor wire barrier between them and New Mexico. Yeah, because all the mules are sneaking people around Texas up into New Mexico, and then they're coming into Texas that way. A U.S. state is having to put a razor wire border up against another U.S. state. This is life in 2023, guys. absolutely wild.
And I don't know why it's such a partisan thing. I feel like securing the safety of our kids in America should really be something that everyone can jump onto. So I want to know from you guys, why are they letting this dangerous scenario just happen in America?
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. And like from a preparedness aspect, like how does this apply to us? One, of course, there's a bunch of people who might want to do us harm. Not the people from Central or America or Mexico, but those Russians coming across, military-age males, those Chinese military-age males. They're coming to wait to be activated in my paranoid prepper mind. You know, they're just going to sit here and wait. I did see there's this John Rich. He's a country music star. He posted on Twitter that one video. He retweeted a Venezuelan illegal immigrant posted on Twitter about all the things they're going to do to Americans in the next few months because Venezuela is emptying their prisons out in an attempt to flood our border with extremely violent Venezuelans.
Uno va para el mercado los tiempos antes en la cola. Así están esos refugios ahorita, mano. Como si hubiera pollo, una vaina así. Eso está así de puro venezolano. Y puro malagón. Tú estás así como yo, cale boletica, mira. Y eso es lo que va en el metro así con tu teléfono y te dejo en chihuilancha, ¿te suena? Quédate dormido para que tú veas. 2 añitos. Se acaba los Estados Unidos. Se llamaba. Es el carro que viene subiendo yo, y puros asesinos.
Not the good Venezuelans, the ones who are imprisoned, they don't even want. So it's definitely not about their nationality, it's about their intent. Like I said, all life's precious. There's a lot of people in really terrible situations, but let's go through the legal framework that's established to get these people here. Even the mayor of New York said their cup runneth over. He can't even handle anymore, and they're thousands of miles from the border. So it's a big issue. But we've beaten this to death, but we would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about this? Okay, so the next big deal, it deals with Russia again, and I'm sure all of you have heard the situation where Russia backed out of the Black Sea grain deal. They were like, no, they tried to negotiate in good faith with the United Nations. Basically, the UN cut off their payment facilities, the SWIFT system, I believe, and gave them a bunch of hollow promises. And they've extended this deal a couple of times, and finally they said, "Niet." Niet, not gonna do it. And so not only did they not agree to extend the grain deal, they have told all ships that are in the area of the Black Sea, we will assume that you're smuggling weapons into Ukraine, so it's dangerous for you to do that. And then not only have they done that, they bombed Odessa, those ports, like 3 days in a row. And I think it's like, 69 metric tons of grain typically go through that area. 75% go through the Black Sea. And what I've been reading was Ukraine is gonna provide other routes for this grain to get out of the country, but it's gonna be on trucks and rail. But with such a large volume, it's gonna be really hard to get it out of the country quick enough for them. But so recently wheat prices have surged. It says here 17% in a week.
And that's why you need to be prepping. So even if you aren't on this train yet, you need to be. Food is going to go through the roof even more than it is right now. Just every time you go to the grocery store, if you can buy a 20-pound bag of rice, do it.
$10 or something.
We don't even like rice. I don't. You do. But I mean, you should really start planning ahead right now. We have a little bit of a time, a little bit of a buffer till we're going to see what comes from the grain getting blocked.
Right. Yeah.
And you can have the argument that in America, oh, well, we have our own grain and our own crops. We'll do another episode on the droughts that are all across the United States right now. But another thing that's going to end up happening is that our grain in the United States is going to go to another bidder. It doesn't necessarily have to stay in the United States. So there's going to be plenty of people bidding on our grain. Yeah,
I think that's a great point. We sell to a global market, not just a U.S. market. It's just like oil. When we had passed Saudi Arabia to be the largest producer of oil, people were like, oh, drill, baby, drill. But just drilling more doesn't mean that necessarily it's going to go down because we sell to a global market at a global spot. I am 100% for domestic production, absolutely. But you always remember, the world is globalized now where you sell to a global market and they're going to sell to the highest bidder. Like this Ukrainian grain that had been going out through the Black Sea grain deal, like NATO keeps saying, oh, but you're going to hurt all these countries. All these impoverished countries, total crap. What this one report said was like over 40, I think it was 47% of it was going to rich, wealthy NATO countries.
I have a little infographic I'll put up right now that'll show you where all of that grain goes to. And it's not just grain, it's grain and corn and a number of other things.
Yeah, like barley and stuff like that. Yeah, they crank it out. They're top 3 in a lot of categories. And what they were doing was those NATO countries, they were buying it and stockpiling it. It's not like they're using it immediately. So they love to play that pity party for these impoverished countries when they really want it for themselves. Rightfully so, you got to protect your own citizens. Totally get that. But don't like hide behind the guise of, hey, I'm a very virtuous country and we care about poor people. When you're stockpiling in silos for a rainy day, they wouldn't receive this anyway. So that's totally a false narrative that they're playing on. And just the prepper aspect is, hey, it's not going to be the end of the world. You're not going to starve. You're not going to go hungry. But things...
Hopefully.
Yeah. Things that you buy every day that already cost a ton, like... Jane, you went to the grocery store the other day for a few things, and just a handful of things was
$86, and my cart had like 6 items in it. I was.
I mean, so if your dollar's already stretched like all of ours is, it's gonna stretch even more. And buying in advance, knowing in 1 week, just wheat prices went up 17%. Do you not think they're gonna continue to increase? Just buy a little extra each time you go. You'll use it. You don't have to stockpile it for a rainy day. You can use it and pay 10, 20, 30, 40% less once you finally get to that big chunk, right? Because prices are going up. I know the government says inflation is down, but who sees that decrease in inflation when you go to the grocery store?
I think that the deflation they're referring to is the year over year. So they're saying it went down from this really high spot last year, which to me is still really high.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, inflation.
Yeah, so definitely jump in the comments if you've seen the impact of lowered inflation. Are your bills actually going down? Are you paying less for anything at all? If so, I'd love to hear about it. And if you're paying more or you agree, jump in the comments. Let's talk about it. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Okay, so polls, all right? Specifically, presidential polls. They're everywhere, and depending on which side of the aisle you're on, elections have consequences, and some of those consequences negatively impact your life every day. I mean, like we're experiencing right now. But every other poll comes out, says Biden's winning by 5 points. Trump is winning by 5 points. There's a latest poll out now. It's the Harvard Caps Harris poll. And this is a nonpartisan poll, so no one can say, hey, it's skewed one way or the other. This survey was July 14th to the 16th. It has a margin of error plus or minus 3%, and it was saying that Trump is beating Biden by 6 points, 45% to 39%. Trump is leading among all voters, including independents, which are absolutely key. And a couple of takeaways from a preparedness standpoint that really highlights the tone of the country right now. The survey also found the mood of the country remained pessimistic. Less than 3 in 10 voters believe the country is on the right track.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I don't know how anyone can think we're on the right track. But.
And not only that, people are displeased. People are broke. You see unemployment is down below 4%. And the jobs numbers keep increasing. Well, they've just fell off just a little bit here recently. But that's people taking their second and third job. It's not like there's more net new first jobs being obtained, right? So these people are upset. They're having to work 2 and 3 jobs to pay their car payment, insurance, groceries, and mortgage or rent. So from a prepper perspective, regardless of which side of the aisle you're on, 2024 election cycle is going to be crazy divisive, crazy amount of protest, probably violent.
Yeah, no matter which way it goes, too. No matter what way the election goes, it's not going to be good. And I'm not inciting violence, but I'm saying that I could see either side of the aisle just losing their mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So the prepper stance on this one is definitely stock up on food and water. People may just be rioting key areas that supply this. Also, they may be rioting in your hometown. Stock up on freedom seeds, freedom seed dispensers, if you know what I'm saying. We have to always be careful on YouTube because the voice of the people is constrained by big tech, and it's a game you have to play. But I would say, be prepared for the 2024 election season. It's not going to be pleasant. Civility is at an all-time low in America.
Right, and if you can be off the X, be off the X. Stay in your house. If you don't have to make that extra grocery trip out while everything's going crazy, you're just that much better off. You are out of the situation, and you're keeping yourself safe for your family, and I don't see anything wrong with that. So, prepping. Do it.
So stocking up will keep you out of the grocery store.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good point. It sucks. I wish we could solve this. I wish we could go back to even the George Bush years where there was a lot of partisan anger, but it wasn't to the point where people were violent or just you cannot have a conversation with someone on the other side anymore, and that's really sad. We're all Americans, and we're all gonna suffer if we fail. So it just sucks. The global order is no longer what it was. Not in the world, maybe, but overall, really just a reduced quality of life for everyone who walks on the face of the earth. A lot more uncertainty, a lot more negative impact to supply chains, a lot more impact to personal safety and security. It's just a crazy time to be alive.
It really is.
Every day trumps the day before in craziness, I think. All right, so this has been a crazy first episode. We hope that you guys enjoy this content. Please like and subscribe. More importantly, jump in the comments. Let's form that prepper community. Let's open the lines of communication, and let's be nice and civil to each other. Like we said, not Twitter. Love Twitter, but this ain't Twitter.
And we're really excited to meet all y'all. So
yeah.
go ahead and leave your comments.
All right, guys. You have a great day. See you next episode.